can't be beat. When you're ready to start your journey, Toxic Entertainment is here to help you reach your destination. Learn more at toxicentertainment.net or call 888-66-TOXIC to arrange a studio tour. That's 888-66-86942. Toxic Entertainment, where creativity meets passion. Does the real world seem unsatisfying?
It's boring, but it's part of my life.
Well, time to level up and reboot reality. Join Toxic Mike and Demonoid as they explore the ever-evolving world of virtual reality and everything it has to offer. Whether you're just starting out or you've been there from the beginning, Reboot Reality will introduce, educate, and guide you to the best in VR. Find it wherever you get podcasts, at toxicradio.net or on the free Toxic Radio app. Reboot Reality. Log in and get immersed.
Radio. Okay. Welcome to Paradelphia Radio. This is Doug Hoagie. At first I couldn't hear myself. But anyway, welcome to a brand new episode here, Toxic Radio, on a miserable, nasty, absolute, disgusting night. But I'm here in studio, though, with, of course, Mrs. Paradelphia. Right? That's your new nickname, Taryn.
Yes, I like that nickname.
And Mr. Mario Cerrito.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Good. And, we're getting a little late start tonight, but that's all right, because... again, it's miserable out, so.
It is.
But yeah, so tonight we have, as we posted, an interesting subject. In fact, we came up with this idea after you left, Mario, on the last episode. Figured, and that Taryn came up, where you are now new to the team here.
Right, exactly.
You're the filmmaker.
Right.
Why not do a movie night?
I love it.
So that's what
Big
we figured
fan.
we'd do. So
Big fan.
Go ahead and before we kick into that, we're gonna start off here with this newest segment that we started the last episode. Mrs. Pruitt here for our Rickisms for this episode. So what do you got for us?
So for tonight, because we are having a movie night, this is a Rickism that is sort of movie themed. So this is a conversation that we had, looks like about a year ago. So I said, I think I've seen this. I'm not sure though. And then Rick said, it's the Goonies. How can you not remember seeing the Goonies? I don't know. I just wasn't all that into it. And Rick, his next comment is just the surprise emoji.
Okay.
I'm doing the shrug emoji. And he says, that's a character flaw.
You never saw, have you seen it since then?
No, I haven't seen it since then. I think I saw like part of it as a kid,
Really?
or maybe I don't know. If I saw the whole thing, it didn't make that much of an impression. I don't know. But it's one of the many things about me that he thought were character flaws. He also didn't like that I'm not a Michael Jackson fan. He doesn't like that either.
Oh, man.
So, but
Maybe.
and I actually have another one. This is also sort of movie themed.
Awesome.
He said he puts on Mystery Science Theater.
Mm.
He was a big fan of Mystery Science Theater. And I said, okay, now I have to intervene. And I grabbed the remote, changed the channel.
Oh.
And then I said, what you put on is crap.
Oh, my gosh.
So Rick says, Alexa, turn off the TV. He just turned off the TV on me.
It's funny how he has an assistant to do that,
right.
no remote.
Yeah.
But that, it's funny. We had a conversation one time too, and I know Melly is listening because we used to joke about it all the time, saying how where we'll be watching a movie and then all of a sudden you guys will ask us a question about it, or if you saw it, start telling about it. Like, I don't know, I've never seen it either, or something. I mean, we had this deep conversation one time. It was pretty funny. Like, how
Right.
you going to ask me a question about a movie when
Right.
I've never seen it either? I have no
Right.
idea why they do that. So,
Right.
but yeah, so perfect. All right, so that is our Rickisms of the episode. Perfect. So, all right. So without wasting any more time, I figure we'll get right into it. So the way this works is each of us picked a movie that we like, and we're going to kind of talk about the background to it. So kick things off here where I had to choose, of course, The Exorcist. Now, The Exorcist, which, Mary, you surprised me before the episode started.
I did. I told you. I warned you.
Right,
I
right.
don't watch much. It's funny. As a horror filmmaker, I haven't watched many horror films.
Right.
And that's probably one of the top 10 most famous horror films.
Right.
Ever.
And you've never seen it.
Never seen it.
Wow. Well, maybe
Never
it'll
seen
change
it.
your mind. Yeah, so.
But I'm sure I can probably tell you what it's about just by the name.
Pretty much.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you really
You
don't
know
have
what I
to
mean?
see
Yeah,
it to
yeah, yeah.
know
Right.
exactly. Now, you've seen this, have you?
I've seen it.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So, The Exorcist, for those like Mario who have never seen
Never
it.
seen it.
No.
My mom would kill me for that. It's her
Oh,
favorite
oh,
movie.
really?
It's one of her favorite horror films.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But it was released on, get this, December 26th of 1973. It was released the day after Christmas. And to kick it off, which I'll get more into this here as I go down my list, it's actually, people don't realize it's based off of a true story.
Right.
And it was based off of an incident in 1949 by a 14-year-old boy named Roland Doe. Now, that wasn't his real name.
Okay.
They called him Roland Doe, and to this day, apparently, he's still alive, this kid. And he's in his 80s, but to this day, they've kept it private. And he's never spoke about it or anything like that. So, but again, I'll get more into that. So, what I did was I looked up kind of like a top 10, and I broke it down to summarize here. So, first, these are some things that occurred during the filming and the aftermath of the movie that they say it's cursed.
I've heard of that.
Oh, yeah. Which I was surprised. I heard that a while ago. So here's a few examples as to why, and you can, basically say, is it coincidental or what? So first, one morning when the crew and cast arrived on site, this was actually the first couple of days, there was a thin layer of snow surrounding all of the equipment in the set. Now, mind you, the set was inside. Now, they found that it was due to the high-power fans that were being left on overnight, which actually was to get, it actually caused it to get as low as 30 degrees, and it formed a small amount of snow, again, on the indoors. Now, the reason they did that is so in a lot of the parts in the movie, so you could see their breath, they would keep it on, but it actually caused snow to cover it around. A lot of people said, oh, that's not possible. And right off the bat, that kind of kicked it off of the whole cast and crew thinking, are we really making a mistake here based off of the whole thing?
Right.
Excuse me. So the next example here is a lot of controversy about the film came up when, again, I said it was released on the day after Christmas in 1973. The reaction of the audience was so intense that some theaters actually provide barf bags and some needed medical attention during and after the film.
Wow.
There was even one case during a screening in Rome where a church down the street during the movie was struck by lightning. It was also said after the movie was finished, all of the cans that had the film in it were actually possessed by the devil himself. Okay, here's the next. All right, so Ellen Bernstein, who played the mother of Reagan, the little girl who was possessed, there was a scene where she actually injured her back, and it was during the crucifix scene. She was thrown to the ground.
Right.
She actually stated that it was a lifelong back injuries, where she actually stated that when she first was hooked up to the harness, she didn't feel comfortable, and they did a lot of tests, and there were no issues. Then when she was thrown to the ground, she actually fell, landing on her back, and the scream that she lets out in that part of the film was her real scream of pain.
Wow.
In fact, they cut it out because apparently she said, turn off the effing cameras. But they kept her scream in there because it was realistic.
Sure.
I thought I had heard that happened to the little girl too. To I can't remember her name right
Yeah,
now.
there was Linda Blair.
Linda Blair,
Yeah.
that's right. Because they had the bed like
Oh yeah, she
jerking
suffered
her all
a
over
lot.
the place, and then she actually got injured too, I think.
Right. In fact, there was a whole thing I found of a list of injuries that she had. I mean, yeah, and now, yeah, she suffered a lot. And it's funny you say that because the next example was different from injuries, but she, again, Linda Blair, who played the possessed little girl, Reagan, she did such a great job portraying the possessed little girl. She received a Best Actress nominee at only 15 years old. For those who contested the film, she received death threats for her performance her entire life, saying that the only reason she did a great job was because her and her family worshipped Satan themselves.
Yeah.
Which, there's more to that, too. It doesn't make sense that I'll get into as I go down. So, alright, so next, with such a negative response from viewers, some claim that the movie sent out subliminal messages that affected them. In one case, a woman sued Warner Brothers because of subliminal message that affected her to cause her to pass out and break her jaw. To avoid bad publicity, Warner Brothers settled out of court, and the controversy still goes on today about the film. Of course, anytime something comes out, somebody's always got to sue.
Yeah.
Just any way to get some kind of money, right? So now going back to what I was saying about Regan playing a good job, which she did, but the voice of the devil, that it wasn't her. So the voice behind possessed Regan in the film was a lady named Mercedes McCambridge. She developed the voice. To develop the voice, she chain smoked, drank whiskey, and even swallowed raw eggs to make the voice what it was. At first, the director was going to leave her name out of the credits so that it would appear that Linda Blair was actually doing the voice. However, after legal action, her name did appear in the credits. Once that legal action was over and after the film was released, she said that she was cursed for doing the voice as Satan, as her son committed multiple crimes against his family and then took his own life in 1987. So even she said, "Oh, I'm cursed for doing the voice of Satan." Coming up here towards the end, so the crew of the film suffered many injuries during the making. For example, one crew member lost a thumb and another lost 4 toes. The director actually had asked Reverend Tom Birmingham, who was the technical advisor of the film, if he could actually perform an exorcism on the set. However, he did not believe in such a ritual. Instead, he did do a blessing on the crew to try to avoid any further incidents during the rest of the filming of the movie. Okay, so now this next one is what I was, again, saying, which, if you want to check it out, there's actually a documentary on Discovery Plus called The Exorcism of Roland Doe.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of people didn't realize. This is based off of, there was a novel, which I thought I had in my notes, that was written by, and the author actually got access to this diary that was written by this pastor who performed these exorcisms on this 14-year-old boy, Roland Doe. And that's how he wrote the novel, which then was turned into The Exorcist. And apparently everything that happened to Regan in the film, like help me appearing on her stomach, levitating, even the whole pea soup scene where she throws up and they use pea soup, it was all documented in this diary.
Wow.
And it was actually locked up in the Catholic Church archive because they didn't want to get released, but someone went in, gave it to this author. He wrote the novel, and now we have it. But a lot of the things to remember when you see it is a lot of the stuff was based off of a true account, apparently, from 1949. Wow. So I never thought The Exorcist was kind of based on something.
Right.
Which there's conspiracy saying that was true or not. But if someone's locked up for that long, I mean, come on. All right. So we got 2 minutes. All right. So there was a 6-week production setback after a fire occurred, burning down the house from the film, which the house was a part of the set. The fire was caused by a bird that flew into a circuit board. What makes it even more strange is the entire set burnt down with the exception of Regan's bedroom where most of the movie took place, showing her possession. They determined that it was no arsonist or any other causes. The fire production, again, set it back a total of 6 weeks. And then finally, a big part of the why it's cursed is during film production, there were a total of 9 deaths that occurred. During and after. These deaths included a production crew member, a night watchman, and 2 of Linda Blair's family members died from accidents while filming. After the film completed, the two cast members died. Jack McGowan, who played the director in the film, and Mary Karras, who played the priest Damien's mother in the film. Strangely, both the characters in the film actually died. So they died a couple years after that. So, again, I mean, and it's funny because that's just like 10 examples. I mean, you can go on. And I even think there's a documentary where they talk about how cursed that movie was.
Right.
and they're actually, like we talked, they're actually doing a reboot.
Well, it makes sense.
So, I mean, again, it's literally caused so many people when they watched it. I mean, you see people coming out halfway through and they're interviewing them, and they're like, I can't sit through this anymore.
They're just sick.
I mean, the production value of back
Right.
at that time, imagine, I just hope they don't mess it up.
Right.
If they come out
They
with it.
will. They
Yeah,
will. They
yeah,
will. I mean,
it's a shame. So,
I've never seen a reboot that's been better than an original.
right. Oh,
I really
absolutely.
haven't, so, yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of a little background on The
That's crazy,
Exorcist.
man.
So, all right. So, Darren,
Well,
what do you
I
got?
actually have 2 fun facts for you for The Exorcist.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Number 1, Linda Blair actually does. She's very well known in the animal rescue community, as you know. That
Oh, really?
Rick and I also did animal rescue.
Right.
And she's a huge advocate for pit bulls.
No way.
So I actually
You actually have that little kind of common
I
interest.
Yeah, I love Linda Blair. I couldn't think of her name. I feel really bad because she's, she rescues all kinds of pit bulls, so that's awesome.
No, that's all right. I always thought
So-
her name was Kerrigan in the film until I realized it was Reagan. So.
Oh wow! and her name in the film. That's the other fun fact. I have a cat named Reagan.
Nice.
So
Man, you have
that's my
Exorcist
other-
written
yeah,
all over you. You
that's
don't
my
even
other
realize
little
it.
fun fact. Yeah.
Nice.
So yes, one of our rescue cats.
All right.
So okay, so you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead. What you got here?
All right. So I'm not a horror fan to begin with. I am,
What are you,
no
a chick?
offense to
Are you?
Mario,
Are
but-
you,
You
a,
don't have to know.
But
are you
I-
a chick
Good.
flick person?
I am a big chicken. I am a chick flick person.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's
I
cool.
proud of it. I'm a proud girly girl. So horror scares the crap out of me.
Right.
I just
It's
you know,
just a movie.
yeah,
exactly.
like I cannot deal. I just
Yeah.
he used to make fun of me. Rick used to make fun of me all the time because there was just
You would get scared.
I would get scared,
Right.
and he would force me every Halloween. We had a deal where I would pick
Horror
one
film?
movie
Okay.
Ah.
of I got to pick it, although he tried very hard to change the rules every year. But it was supposed to be one movie of my choosing.
Right.
But he would say, no, it's, all these movies and I get to pick. And I
Right.
was like, no,
10
no, no,
hours
no.
worth of movie.
Right. That is not what I agreed to.
Mm.
So
Should have got it in writing or something.
Yeah.
you know?
So, but during the Halloween season, I would always end up watching a couple, but I wouldn't let him pick any.
Okay.
Ah.
And if I ended up watching something that was too scary for me,
Mhm.
like we watched what was that show? It was like the series
American
about
American
the
Horror
house.
Story.
No, not that one.
Oh.
About the house.
The House on Haunted Hill.
It was on
The
Netflix,
house
right?
on-
Netflix?
yeah, it was on Netflix.
I worked
the
on
house.
that. I actually worked on that.
there
Did
was
you?
Bly
Wow.
Manor was
Yeah,
the
I was-
second one, but what was the first one?
That's
Melly would know.
that's-
If
The
Melly's
Haunting
listening.
of Hill House.
That's
what I'm
it.
talking
That's
about.
it.
I
Haunting
was-
of Hill
I
House.
worked on that.
Did you
Yeah, I was
really?
a production assistant on that movie.
Oh my
Wow.
god!
It's
So
a
that
series, but
that movie, I mean that series,
it freaked everybody out.
scared the living
Yeah.
shit out of me. And I remember watching that scene where, not to ruin it for anybody who's listening, but like she jumped
Right.
up in the car, and I screamed, and I
Right.
was
Oh,
like,
wow.
above my threshold. This is way above my threshold.
Yeah, that was
movie's-
good.
Wow,
that
and you
series
worked on.
terrified
That's
me.
awesome. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just saying,
Yeah.
we have a real famous person here. We didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So, you
It
know.
was, I mean, it was a really
Mel-
good series.
In fact,
It
Melly
it
just
was
put no way
terrifying.
Mario Joseph
I
because
did.
she was
Go-
obsessed with it
Go
too.
on my IMDb, you'll see my credit.
There you
Wow.
go.
Yeah, it was a great movie. It was just terrifying.
Oh,
yeah.
Series. It was just terrifying.
So you were probably having a hard time trying to pick when we came
Well,
up with this.
So we talked about doing horror or science fiction.
Right.
I am a little bit of a science fiction nerd.
All right.
So I picked Night of the Comet,
Nice.
which is a 1984 B movie, starring Kelly Maroney, who was pretty famous for those like really campy
Right.
slasher movies back in the mid 80s.
Oh.
Right. Okay.
She was the younger sister in the movie, and Catherine Mary Stewart was the older sister.
Mhm.
Wikipedia has this movie listed as American science fiction comedy horror.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
Gave it
it's-
like 5 slugs there.
Yeah. So it was set in California, and the description on IMDb is a comet wipes out most life on Earth, leaving 2 valley girls fighting against cannibal zombies and a sinister group of scientists.
Mm.
Right.
Wow.
Letterbox.com said they came, they shopped, they saved the world.
Mhm.
So it was just a really I don't know. It was a really fun movie that I remember seeing as a kid, so that's why I wanted to do this one.
Well,
Right.
it sounds like it's right up your alley where you, like
Yeah.
you said, if you have Valley Girls, I mean, can you only
Right.
imagine in a real life situation?
Yeah, it was this movie where there was a comet that came and one night, and everybody who was exposed to it, which was most of the world because they were out seeing
Sure.
the comet,
Mhm.
turned to red dust,
Really?
and it
Mm.
vaporized everyone. If I guess if you were like partially exposed, you turned into this cannibal zombie.
Right.
Wow.
And the only way to avoid being exposed altogether was if you were in something that was steel. And I think I forget where the one sister was, but the other sister was in like a movie theater where she was in a steel bunker area of the movie theater or something, like with a projection room or something. So they were like the last two, well, not the last two people, but they thought they were for a while until they finally started seeing other people. And they, couldn't find anybody, and they went to the mall, and they were like, there's this whole scene where they're with the montage and the music, and they're getting dressed up in the mall, and that was fun. And
Wow.
and then there was a group of scientists that wanted to kill them because they, assumed that they were exposed, and these zombies that were coming after them. And
It kind of reminds me of because I'll tell you, I thought they were great. What are those most recent zombie with Woody Harrelson and that other guy?
was it Zombieland or something?
Zombieland, yeah. And the second one, they had this Valley girl in there, and it was funny the concept of it because she like trapped herself, I think, in the mall or something.
Oh,
And,
yeah?
yeah, like it was, yeah. So because you don't really, but it's interesting about this because you have like everything mixed in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have End of the World, you have Zombie.
Yeah.
I mean, like Comet, like that's really interesting.
Yeah, it
wow.
was. And then there was a little bit of romance because at the end, the older sister, they finally do run into another human
like
being.
a community or
yeah,
something.
like another
right.
like a kid her age or a guy
Mhm.
her age. So it was just a fun movie that I remembered when I was a kid that I saw
Right.
that I really liked. And
And I've never even, like I said, I've never seen it,
Me
but
either.
knowing how it's got all of those different things behind it, yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely one I'm gonna.
I mean it's
check out.
definitely
Has
not
comedy in
like
Comedy's-
it's there's some comedy. Yeah,
What's that comedy? The outer space one where they come from outer space and I forget what it's.
I don't
Zombies from outer space or
yeah.
something. Me and my
Yeah.
wife recently watched it.
really,
And I don't watch movies.
Right.
I really don't. And
which we were texting
I don't-
back
I
and
don't-
forth
wasn't there
earlier.
killer clowns?
that's
from
what I'm
outer
talking
space?
about.
it,
That's what I'm
okay.
talking about. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Which me and my wife watched that and
Mhm.
we were laughing. It was
Well,
hysterical. But
Yeah.
I remember which I was shocked because when I told Rick about it, he had no idea. But the whole he loved, which we actually went up the whole Orson Welles,
right.
the whole broadcast and everything, and they did a movie
Okay.
where they actually based it. It was like a B movie that they did where it showed the town like they heard aliens like.
Yeah.
That went on next town, and they're on their way, and it was kind of like a comedy. I don't know
Right.
if they intended that or not, but
Probably
it was
not.
funny how they were
Right.
acting. You had one guy who was like ex-military who suddenly like turned into, this whole like I'm the general of the town, and
Yeah.
again, you don't know if that's the intention.
No. Sometimes so they'll film it serious and it comes out funny.
Right,
Yeah.
and then they'll kind of go with that to
They
see
have
how the
to go with it.
reaction.
What else
yeah,
can you do? Yeah.
you don't want to go.
Yeah,
It's not
no,
funny,
no,
guys.
it's not supposed to be funny. You have to say, "Oh, I guess it is funny."
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So,
that's how it happens.
oh yeah.
I
So,
remember in 1984 I was 9, so I think what I liked about the movie was that it was, the idea of these two teenage girls set alone
Right.
in the world
Right.
and in the mall by themselves, just taking whatever they wanted and
Yeah,
being
that's
able to
awesome.
try on all the
Yeah,
clothes and
yeah,
stuff
Right,
like
right.
that. So,
Yeah,
I think I just really liked the
it kind of
idea
stuck
and
with you,
thought,
right?
right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fun fact: I wasn't born yet in 1984.
Fun fact: that was
You
the
know
year.
what?
Hold on. That was the year I was born. So.
I would.
I was
oh
alive.
my God, both of you.
I was alive.
Listen, I would have to. The reason I do that is because anytime Rick would mention age or anything, I'd always have to
yeah.
bring it
No,
up,
absolutely,
and he'd be
I
like,
get it.
"Oh, shut
Well,
up."
I am younger than he was. He was.
Yeah.
What was he?
you know.
670 or 69 or
Rick?
71 or
Rick?
no. The
Oh,
year
I
he
thought
was born. No, the year he
Oh,
was born.
yes.
No.
Yeah,
No.
He was born in 71. He was
Right, that's
he
right,
died
yeah,
when he
yeah.
was 50
Okay.
when he died.
I was gonna say, wow.
Yeah.
Was it 71?
So was it
yeah,
71,
no, I
right?
meant, nah.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
probably
oh my
sitting-
God,
No,
what do you
no,
think
no,
I
no.
am?
He's
I meant
sitting
the
in
year.
that
I meant the
corner
year.
going, geez, Mario, come on, man.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
I meant the year.
So, all right, perfect. So, all right, Mario,
Yeah.
what's your pick?
Okay, so, all right. So this is not going to sit well. This is me. All right. So, as a horror filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
there's many good horror movies out there.
Mm-hmm.
None are as good as Blair Witch Project.
Thank you.
And I
I
say
agree.
that for a lot of reasons, and I say that for the main reason. And this kind of is, I'm going to relate it to what I do. These guys were nobodies.
Mm-hmm.
They probably had 1,500 hours in their checking account.
Are you talking about the filmmakers?
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to relate to the filmmakers,
Okay.
and then I'm going to go to the film.
Okay.
They thought of an idea with the budget on the movie, I think, was like $15,000 or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
IMDb has it as $85,000, but it wasn't. If you watch the movie, it was shot bad.
Right.
But let me tell you something. The film made over. I don't know the exact number. It was in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow, I didn't
Wow.
realize that.
It was
I
in
mean,
the
it was
hundreds, yeah.
successful, but my God.
Yeah, it was in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and the reason being is because everybody thought this film was real.
Yes.
Everybody, and I remember, I think it was released in, I want to say 98 or 99.
Yeah, you're right. Because like I
Yeah.
said, I love it.
I think it
so-
was 99.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and the internet was pretty much non-existent, so there was no Google then.
Right.
So nobody could say, hey, was Blair Witch Project real?
Mhm.
People just said, this film looks real.
Right.
And to me, be able to do that, forget Halloween, forget Jason,
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy.
It's genius.
That is correct.
Right.
That is ingenious to what they did. What they said, okay, listen, we have this amount of money. If I could do that today, you can't. You just can't because
Right.
of the internet. You can't.
Right.
You can try, but you can't. So these guys, they're pioneers in the found footage,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of relates to what I've done with Human Hibachi and all that. But again, with the internet, you can't even sell for being real because they can go on IMDb and see it's the actors and all that. They did
Right.
none of that. This film,
They were the first ones that did that too, weren't they?
they were.
Yeah, they were
they're
like
pioneers.
the-
There might have been one before that, I believe. It was a title that never really got out. I don't know what it's called. I did kind of do some research, but there was one that kind of fell flat.
Oh, okay.
The Blair Witch Project was the one that really just
Yeah.
exploded. And so it was shot in Maryland. It was about a couple of I guess they were called documentary filmmakers
Mhm.
that wanted to go explore the tale of the Blair Witch the Blair Witch.
Right.
I shouldn't say project, but the Blair Witch that were out it was shot in Burkittsville, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So they set out to document what this, I guess, tale or whatever, legend was out there. And they, go out there and crazy shit starts happening on film.
Mhm.
And when we're looking at it, like they start getting picked off one by one and mind's racing. But it wasn't a killer. It wasn't, it was
Right.
paranormal.
And that's what I love. It like
Yeah, right. You don't know what's going on.
You're not seeing a monster.
Correct.
You're just seeing the
You're
fear.
seeing and symbols. You'll see like that, whatever
Mhm.
that like figure in the stick
The little
figure.
stick figure,
right.
right.
That to me, from a filmmaker's perspective was, and people will kill me for it because they'll say, "Oh, well, it was trash because it was shot so bad." I don't care.
It was
Doesn't look how much money it made versus what they put into it. And I've said this since I've started this business.
Mhm.
That was the best horror film made for what it was because you could, if you make a movie for say $30 million and you gross 100,
Mm-hmm.
that's 70 million. But you put 30 million in it. This film put $15,000 to $18,000, made over 100. I think I want to say it was 180 million.
That's
It was something
nuts.
insanity.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
And
Mike.
that-
Actually, yeah. There you go. There's the stick figures right there. It's
Right.
And
See,
that's the most
That's what
frightening-
scared me, man.
Right.
Those stick figures right there alone
Right.
are terrifying.
I mean,
Imagine coming through the woods and seeing that.
Yeah,
what-
I've never seen this movie, and I've never seen that, and
Watch
I'm probably
it.
gonna have
No,
nightmares
you have
tonight.
to watch
Oh, wow.
it.
So
It's terrifying.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
call you, Mike,
well, what's
Yeah.
in the middle of the
nuts-
night
It's terrifying.
when I can't
It's
sleep.
the buildup of it too,
correct.
because
I was just suspense in that film is
right. You literally it goes
Right.
from like, and again, not to spoil anything,
right.
but it wasn't just all of a sudden they're in the
Dude.
woods and then boom, stuff.
Yeah,
happening.
and then it starts
It's
happening.
like slow.
Right, it's
Then
slow
they
for the
get-
first
right.
45 5 minutes probably.
But literally, like you said, you're not seeing a monster. You're not
seeing anything.
You're literally
the way they did it was
experiencing
ingenious, dude.
out of their eyes and that fear.
It was genius.
I mean, it was.
It was a genius movie.
And a lot of people I know have say, "Oh, that movie is trash." But
they'll kill you for it.
I literally,
No.
it's funny. Like I love it. I always watching it.
Listen. Any movie that makes over $100 million,
yes,
especially these guys aren't even independent filmmakers. They were. A lot of those guys on there were first-time filmmakers,
right?
That just said, "Let's do this."
And I thought I saw from what I can remember when that movie came out, is like you said, people thought it was real.
Right.
I think people still go to Burkittsville
and
claiming it's real, but it's just a story made up.
Correct.
And I think, from what I can recall, those 3 characters showed up at like an MTV Movie Awards finally, and they came on
that's
stage
when it came out that
and was like, "We're not lost.
We're still alive."
And people were shocked,
right?
Because they were like, "We thought you were dead,"
right?
And I'm pretty, like I said,
that's what they did so great about it, is they didn't have an IMDb page. They didn't have like any kind of like actual. So like when you make a film today, the first thing you have is an IMDb page,
right?
Which is like, anybody can research who's in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys had none of that.
Right.
They didn't do any of that.
Right.
They literally said to the actors, which I tried to do on my movie, it's impossible. They said, "Listen, you're non-existent."
Right.
Remember that you came out. You came out to the auditions.
Yeah, I
called it
that.
Project K.
Yep.
You remember that?
Yeah, because Rick and I were doing
you
like
guys were out there. You and Rick were both out there. They came out to the auditions, and that was for Human Hibachi. I tried to do it. Forget about it.
Right.
That's when I switched it over and said, "Okay, after that, we're gonna just. This is a regular movie at this point. Internet kills you."
Yeah.
These guys didn't have that. They could do what they wanted, and I'm telling you, that to me, and it's inspirational.
And it is, again, it's so genius. And not only that, so again, I think there's 3, right?
There was one. Then they did I think they did a sequel.
It was a Book of Shadows.
Right.
But
then they did a remake about two or 3 years ago, which didn't do well. You can't.
Right.
How you gonna remake?
Right, because I think the concept was the same thing. They had upgraded high tech equipment, and it was this brother of the girl,
that's more to me a money move.
Right.
I'm not into that. I'm into like the first
original
one. Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, I told you that. I said you didn't remake The Exorcist. How, dude?
Right.
It's already been done. It's already been done immaculately.
Right. Well, you're just doing
it's a money move.
Actors
it's a money move. That's a money move.
Right. And again, it's so crazy because I think that the people of like Burkittsville, like they actually try to tell people, don't come here.
Right.
I mean, they said the Blair Witch. One fun fact again that I know about it is it's actually based off of a true story.
Right. You're saying, yeah.
But it's from the Bell Witch,
right,
which is in Tennessee.
So they took the inspiration from that,
The story of the Bell Witch was she harassed a family that owned a farm back in the late 1800s. And, and there were accounts where she was, like, possessing the daughter of it. And there's still stories today that the Bell Witch is around this area in Tennessee.
Amazing.
But, again, they took that and they put it in a town in Maryland.
They put their own twist on it.
Right. And people think, well, yes, it's real. What are you talking about? And
right.
It's kind of like going back to our last episode. It's like Scientology. You write something about it, and it's just like
they believe and they buy into it. You know what I honestly do? What I loved about the Blair Witch Project was if you watched it, Taryn, you have to watch this. You haven't watched it?
No.
She would probably run out of her house.
You
crying,
have to watch it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's
one
fake.
that I've always been
It
curious
is fake.
about.
I will tell you. It's fake, but it's good.
Yeah.
So
I've always
been
curious about it, but I was just never able to pick that one.
You know what they do so well that I thought was great is, remember in the beginning when they're interviewing like townspeople about the story?
Jenna just put a comment up that she said the old lady was the most horrifying part of the
video.
video.
That's what sells it, man. And it's just the way they did it. And again, like, to me, here's the thing. A horror film, you have to believe it.
Right.
If you don't believe it, you're gonna just be like, hey, it's fake.
Right.
I believe that. And I was like, dude, this is real.
Yeah.
And that's what scares you.
Right.
When you have that out to say, oh, it's fake.
Right.
The knife's fake, the gun's fake, the blood's fake. That I thought was real. That's what scares you.
You're pretty much with horror and things like that. The suspense that you get out of that is just not knowing how the ending's going to be.
Absolutely.
And like you said, this concept is
it's terrifying.
you're like, because you literally think you're watching the real life reactions,
Right.
and the footage, they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
They've disappeared.
Yeah,
off the face of
just,
this earth.
the film shuts off, and you're like, what had just happened?
Right.
Are these
It
people
was
dead?
just they fell down.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah,
I'm
they
telling
just
you.
fall down screaming.
Yeah.
"Josh, Mike!"
Right.
And then it's just like,
And then you're
this
left-
footage was found a year
Right,
later,
and then you're left,
there's the
and then you're
credits.
left with your bowl of popcorn, like, what just happened?
Oh yeah,
yeah, exactly.
it's
They
it
did
is.
I'm telling you, it's
so-
genius, man.
Yeah, again, a lot of people, they're like, I even think if you go online, I don't even think it got good reviews.
No, I would say no. It IMDb, which is basically the the meta for like film, it's got it like at a mid fives, maybe 5.5, which is
Wow.
I mean, it's average.
And again, like you said, they look into all these things, like you said, budget and this and that.
Right.
Like, you're forgetting the fact.
You're forgetting what they did.
The closest monster that you had that we had anything to fear were the stick figures and the pile of rocks.
Right, exactly.
And then even the little one part where, again, the pile of rocks that show up and
right, exactly.
And like, in fact, I think I read where like there's a part where the kids, they just used the speaker, because I watched the making of it. And the reason it's so real is because all they did was told the three of them, look, we're going to scare the shit out of you. Take these 3 cameras. I think they had note cards on different things, but they had to keep it to themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's how they did it. So the fear was real. It wasn't scripted. They improvised.
Right.
And basically it was like, just go camping. You're going to act like you're lost.
That's awesome.
And we're going to scare the hell out of you. And everything they did, they weren't expecting.
Right.
Like the whole kid scene was a huge speaker that the guy filmed a daycare, I think I read, and they just played it out loud. And then,
oh, really?
Yeah, and then they had people scratching, and they ran off. But again, you don't know what's going on. All you think is, wow, there's a bunch of kids,
Now
Yeah,
I'm tired to watch it.
Yeah, I always joked and said, like, they were going to walk. There's like a McDonald's, like, right across the corner or something, and they just are missing it.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I don't watch scary movies by myself. So now that I am alone in the house,
there
is no way I'm watching anything scary.
Should be FaceTime
by
everybody.
myself.
We'll have a FaceTime.
Maybe we'll have a movie
night.
night where everybody can come over and watch it. How's that sound? That'd be cool. That's more like it.
That's more like it.
exactly.
Although somebody might need to stay. Like, I might need to some sort of sleepover.
She never going to go near a tree again or anything
God.
like that.
I'm such a
because you have people that fear
comes to
the
scary
woods.
Now let me ask you, Doug. Let me ask you: have you seen Paranormal Activity?
I have. I've seen them all.
What do you think of that as a ghost
I have
hunter?
not seen it.
So again, much like you, the idea of it, I get it, because they're trying to take this footage and everything.
Right.
But see, I don't think it needs to be called Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
It should be something like demonic activity, because they're taking things that happen so severe to people, and they're just portraying as like, this is what happens. I mean, activity that people experience is not that intense. Hell, half the time you can kind of find reasons behind
like at my
it.
house.
Right.
I get it.
But
it's
they're
not like what they
portraying
portrayed.
it as, you're going to get thrown against the wall, which to me, I think it makes people think, well, in order for someone to believe me, I need to share that, I'm thrown against the wall.
Yeah.
And they really embellish what their experiences are.
Although,
I mean,
what your kids saw was pretty creepy.
Well, right.
Yeah, it was, dude, on that video, too.
I had the face. I was down in your
You were
crawl
down in
space.
the crawl space, yeah.
And I had the video of that
dude.
face in front of me, like.
My wife just texted me. Something just hit her right now. She's probably listening.
So they're good. I will say the most recent one, because we watched it, where they're at a farm, and like, I forget, I think it was like the Devil something. It was the most recent one. It just came out like less than a year ago. That was pretty intense, I will say.
Really?
Yeah, that had to be the best.
Was it like the third or fourth installment?
It was like the fourth, I think, because they have like, they've got they got a Spanish one, I think, that came out. I mean, they have a lot now. It's like a whole freaking thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree. And then, of course, like I said, that night of the comment, you got me wanting to check it out. So
and you said
it was a fun movie.
It's a B film, you said, yeah? I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, what was that, the Killer Clown one? Or is it kind of like that? Because that was like
Killer
a B.
Clowns from Outer Space, I think.
I was a big fan of that.
Right.
So I'd probably enjoy that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where can you watch it? Is it like anywhere? Netflix? Where'd you?
Possibly. I don't know. It's been years since I've seen it, but
it's probably, honestly, you could probably
it
get
might
something.
be on Netflix.
Or like Voodoo, Voodoo Have you heard of Voodoo?
I think
Oh,
Rick
yeah,
has it
VUD.
on
You can get a lot of
I know what you're
VUD. You
talking
can
about.
get a lot of films on
Yeah.
there, like
Oh,
old
yeah.
films. You know what I hate is like you can't go into Blockbuster and just go and rent.
I know they took away all that.
Dude,
Yeah.
Yep.
it's so annoying.
I know. It's like you got to have it available on Netflix or something.
It's so annoying. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but again, I mean, there's so much. I mean, I think of the B movies, the old time movies, the way they did it, they used chocolate on the black and white movies to portray blood and everything. They're some of the best.
Yeah.
You know, so. But yeah, I'll tell you, like, I think we had some great picks. You guys have a lot of work to do because I only have one movie to see. Y'all have a lot to watch. So
Dude,
no,
I haven't
So,
like it's funny honestly honestly like being in the business of like horror films, people are like, you haven't seen like people I work with like on sets, like they think
Right.
I'm like an idiot. They're like, wait, you haven't seen this or that? And I'm like, but it clouds judgment.
that's what I was gonna say.
It does.
Probably
It does. It clouds judgment. So
Right.
it's like I don't know if you guys ever played sports.
No, I
I
definitely
played
do not
football.
swim.
You did?
Yeah, I was a football player.
Okay,
yeah.
so if you studied, say you had your own technique, and then
Mhm.
you studied other professionals' techniques, and then you tried to bring that. I was a baseball player, and then you tried to bring that to your own. It's gonna mess you up.
And it makes
It
definite
does.
perfect sense. Yeah.
Especially, I was a baseball player, so if I watch other people's swings, I didn't even want to watch them because I had my own swing at work,
Right.
and that's the reason. Like, not that I watched them before I got into horror, but like, yeah, like
Yeah, you
that's-
don't want it
that's-
to. You
I
don't
know,
want to
I
take
have my own. I have my
ideas-
own mind.
Right.
So if I see that, I don't want to duplicate.
Yeah,
You
that
know
makes
what I mean?
perfect sense. Yeah.
So that's kind of what, and people are you have I'm good.
All right, perfect. Well, again, I mean, we got a late start, but as quick as everything goes, so that about does it for us already tonight.
Yeah,
so.
no, it was cool, man.
Yeah, definitely. Again, so everybody listening, yeah, check them out. Like I said, if you've never seen The Exorcist, Night of the Comet, or the Blair Witch Project, they're I can speak for two of the three that they're awesome. So, but I'm gonna.
And you know what we did here, and I didn't. This wasn't even planned, but you did a movie from the '70s. I did one from the '80s, and you did one from the '90s.
Whoa,
Wow,
So
look
we
at
even
that.
went,
I didn't think of
you
that,
know,
dude.
all three of the decades, three
Wow.
of the older decades.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we didn't go like modern. I mean,
No.
it goes to show.
No,
you.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, I
Yeah.
think honestly the best horror films were made in those years.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
because
Thank you.
again,
Yeah.
the internet seems to kill a lot.
does,
of it,
dude.
So, but
Let
yeah,
me ask you this: name a good horror film from the 2000s on. I mean, a monumental film.
that's true. Yeah,
A monumental film. Why are they all pre-2000? I mean, what does that tell you? What does that?
Yeah.
That's
Halloween,
true.
Friday the 13th.
they're all remakes
Freddy.
nowadays.
Yeah.
They're all remakes. Yeah.
Forget about
See,
it.
That's
I
true.
I think the
Yeah.
more modern ones, for me at least, they're scarier.
They are because of the
technical
effects
thing,
and all
yeah.
that.
So that's why whenever we chose those movies
You went
during
back in the
Halloween,
day?
Yep, 80, everything 80s
I
or
feel you, Tara.
before.
Wow.
Because I pretty much stopped watching horror movies after I saw The Ring.
I never saw that. See,
You
that's
never
I
saw
didn't-
did you see
Oh,
The Ring?
yeah, that-
oh my
yeah,
god,
that
it
was pretty
absolutely.
good.
I probably shouldn't even say this
My
because
wife
I'm
did,
like
though. She
afraid
told me
somebody's
about it.
gonna like post something on my page so that I'm forced to see something. Please don't. I'm
Well.
terrified of it.
Well, it looks like everybody's got a lot to do tonight. Hopefully, put everybody in a horror movie, mood.
Right.
So, and the weekend's coming up. But again, so that about does it for us already here. But again, we'll be back. We're doing the show once a month now. So we'll be back the first Thursday of next month, and then as time goes on. But yeah. But in the meantime, check us out on Facebook and all the social media, and again, check out Toxic Radio for all the other great shows. And for Taryn, for Mario, this is Doug, and for Rick, for Paradelphia, and we're out of here.
Peace.